I'm Jacob Courtwright, and this is The Locker Room. We have made it to another Tuesday. Welcome back to The Locker Room. Now, if you have missed us from last Tuesday, there's a way you can fix it. You can stay connected with The Locker Room Monday through Sunday. You can take part in fun little surveys. You can watch a bunch of funny videos that are posted on TikTok. There's so many avenues that The Locker Room is touching. You just have to make sure that you're in the need to know. So how do you get there? Super simple. Follow us on our social media. And I'm going to continue to say this until I have more than 83 followers on Instagram, all right? The Locker Room Podcast 615 on Instagram, The Locker Room Host Jacob on Facebook, TLR with Jacob on Twitter, and The Locker Room 22 on our ever-booming TikTok. This episode, of course, is brought to you by FNX Fitness. Go to fnxfit.com. That is fnxfit.com for all of your gym needs. Clothings, supplements, recoveries, vitamins, everything you need made in the USA. Use your promo code TLRHOST. That is TLRHOST for 15% off your order. So we have a lot to get to today, but first I have to check in with you. How is your FNX 30-Day Fitness Challenge going? For those of you who have sent me pictures, for those of you who have kept up to date with me through the social media, I appreciate you and keep going. Listen, there is no better time to start a healthier you than now. Listen, I was eating Taco Bell 15 times a week. Like, this is no joke. Like, I'm not really exaggerating here. I was eating Taco Bell for lunch, for dinner, for breakfast, for snack, for second lunch, for second breakfast. Like, I was just eating Taco Bell and sitting on my fat ass playing video games. And listen, it is not wrong to eat Taco Bell. It is not wrong to play video games. I will continue to do both until I inevitably die from some sort of food disease because I ate so much Taco Bell, right? But do it in moderation. Everybody could be a little bit healthier in life. We can all agree there, right? I am down 11 pounds. That's right. I was pushing a number that I never thought I would get close to. And then after the quarantine 15 packed on, I had to reevaluate my life. And now I am trimming down. I'm staying in the gym. So the FNX Fitness 30-Day Challenge will end soon, but your healthy lifestyle does not have to. So let's keep pushing together. Now, that being said, we've got a lot to get to on the show today, and I've got to open up with the NFL. Now, I know a lot of you probably thought I was going to say the NCAA tournament, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm sure a lot of you have thrown your brackets away like I have, but I will be revealing also this week, for those of you who have participated in the NCAA Bracket Challenge, first annual bracket challenge at the Locker Room. I will be revealing the standings at the end of this week. So if you do take part in that and you would like to know where you're standing, don't worry. That is going to be coming very, very shortly. Before Saturday's games, I will have that out to you. Also, a brand new Puncher's Chance is coming this week. So if you are a big Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou fan, ready for their massive battle for the championship belt, I'll be covering that with my partner, Stephen Hines. But yeah, going away from the NCAA first, I've got to start with the NFL because I want to give you my grades on the free agency market and the trade market right now. How's everybody doing? Who are the winners? Who are the losers? Let's start off with my favorite team. They're not my favorite team, but I just really love the GOAT, Tom Brady now. I used to be a Tom Brady hater. And everybody could attest, like, I just hated Tom Brady for how good he was. And I had to catch myself. And I inevitably, I'm on Brady's side. And, I'm a big Brady supporter now. So, the Tampa Bay Bucks, they get an A+ already. So the most important thing for Tampa was not that they extended Tom Brady for 2 years, right? Like, that is a bonus for this team. Tom Brady made them a Super Bowl contender, but he was not the sole reason that they won the Super Bowl. Now, I know a lot of us Brady fans, I'm going to call myself a Brady fan now. A lot of us like to say, like, oh, it was all Tom. It was all Tom. That defense was one of the best defenses we have ever seen play in a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying they're one of the best defenses of all time, but that game, that Super Bowl performance by that defense could not be ignored, and through their playoff run. Had an incredible playoff run. So they re-sign Rob Gronkowski. They extend Tom Brady, already two pieces that are definitely, two of the greatest of all time. But the biggest parts that I want to commend them for, re-signing Shaq Barrett to 3 years, re-signed Levante David, who was by far the best linebacker in the NFL, to 2 years, and they franchise tag Chris Godwin. So they kept their offensive weapon that a lot of people thought they were going to lose. It's still yet to be seen where Antonio Brown's going to end up. If he ends up signing back with the Bucs, I think you're going to see repeat in a lot of people's upcoming Super Bowl brackets. You're going to see Tampa Bay in that repeat spot. But they get an A+ for the simple fact that the best thing you can do, the best thing you can do in free agency and the best thing you can do in the trade market is re-sign your best players. And the Bucs did just that, and they are about to reload and go for another Super Bowl. A+. Let's move on to the New England Patriots. Now, for the Patriots, I'm going to give them a C+. I think they have a lot of good moves. I think they have a lot of okay moves, and then they have some bad moves. The Cam Newton signing, now I know Cam Newton said he's coming out with a vengeance, like he's not going to go out this way. We're about to see the greatest Cam Newton since the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. So they re-signed Cam Newton. I'm not a big fan of that deal. With all this extra cap space, I really would have pushed for a guy like a Sam Darnold. Jimmy Garoppolo's name's been floating around out there. There are quarterbacks' names that have been out there. Hell, I would have even have gone and gotten Ryan Fitzpatrick if this is what you're going to do with Cam Newton. Fitzpatrick can, I think, win you more games than the Cam Newton we saw last year. So if Cam Newton gets back to Super Bowl quality, this is a great signing, but I'm not completely sold on the Cam Newton part. They signed Nelson Aguilar to a 2-year deal. Not a huge fan of the Nelson Aguilar. And here's the deal. The reason I have the Patriots this low of a grade, it's not that low of a grade, let's be honest. But the reason I have them at a C+ is a lot of these picks could either be home runs and be great fits, or a lot of these pickups can be just whitewashed. Basically, you just paid somebody to fill the spot that happened last year, which is be mediocre, be half productive, and not win you any more games. So this could all whitewash out and be completely null and void and mean absolutely nothing. Or these pieces could have a revived part of their career, like I think Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots think they will have. And this team could be in the conversation of another Super Bowl run, this time without Tom Brady. They signed Kendrick Bourne. I think the biggest signings for the New England Patriots have been Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. We know that the Patriots love the 2 tight end set. They like the power set, and they run a lot of effective offenses out of that. So, signing those two, Jonnu Smith is one of the most dynamic, and this is not just because I like Jonnu Smith and I'm a Tennessee guy, also a Bears guy. I can't disrespect the Bears. But Jonnu Smith is one of the most dynamic wide receiver / blocking tight ends / running tight ends in this entire league. He gets a lot of he doesn't get a lot of attention because he is in the Tennessee market, but Jonnu Smith is a very important piece in this trade. And then Hunter Henry was going to be a home run wherever he went. He was a stud last year for the Chargers. This is a perfect fit in New England. The 2 jumbo tight end sets, 2 tight ends that are very athletic, can go up and get the ball, but are also very, very, very good blockers. And I think that's something that's so important we can't leave out of this conversation. So they picked up 2 very, very good tight ends, which I think are the biggest. I think that's what elevates this. That's what elevates this offseason for the New England Patriots. If they don't have either one of those guys, I think the Patriots could be sitting at a D- right now. But, it doesn't stop there. They got Matt Judon. They got Jalen Mills. They got Kyle Van Noy back. They got Trent Brown, another very, very, very good pickup for an already good Patriots offensive line. But Jalen Mills, Kyle Van Noy, like some of these guys, Matt Judon's a really good signing as well. But like some of these guys, Kyle Van Noy had a very good year in Miami. What is he going to bring back to the Patriots? Is he going to be a good veteran leader? along with Dante Hightower, and is this all going to start meshing, or is this going to just fizzle out and it's just going to be another person coming off the bench? So they've got a couple, late swap picks as well. They got Detrius Wise back, David Andrews. Like, it just keeps going. Like, take a deep breath, because that's all that the Patriots have done just this far into the game. Now, come draft night, I'll be very interested to see what magic Bill Belichick and these Patriots pull out of their sleeves, because they always have something. But overall, I think a C+ is a very good grade for what they've done. It's going to be a shot in the dark if these pickups actually play out and they kind of revive themselves in their career. The Patriots could have a home run on their hands. Another team that I think had a big flop, a massive flop actually, thus far in the free agency / trade market has been the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, let me preface it by saying the Las Vegas Raiders and what's going on in John Gruden's head is a mystery to everybody. So why he made these moves, I'm not quite sure. I'm sure he has some massive plan down the road. They saved a ton of cap space. So he could be pushing for something big, but as of right now, what we've got on paper, they've got at least a D+ here. They traded Trent Brown, who we just talked about, to the Patriots. They traded Gabe Jackson, another starting guard, to Seattle. They traded Rodney Hudson to the Arizona Cardinals, and basically the only signings that they had was Yannick Ngakoue and then John Brown and Kenyon Drake. Now, Kenyon Drake might be a good one too in the backfield, especially with Josh Jacobs. But John Brown, a okay wide receiver, and then Yannick Ngakoue, great. I'm glad you signed him to the defensive side of the football. But who the hell is going to protect Derek Carr? Who the hell is going to block for Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake? Like, I understand they did cost a lot of money, but the Trent Brown one is, I think, the one that throws it off so much for me. You pay Trent Brown, $26 million to literally just give him right back to the New England Patriots. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know where John Gruden's mind is here. Now, like I said, he could be making a play for maybe something in the draft, maybe something a little bit further down the road. But it looks like, that they're saying Derek Carr's their guy. They've got their running backs now. They need some wide receivers. They've got a lot of empty spaces on that roster that they got to fill, but most importantly, they've got to be able to protect the quarterback. That is one of the biggest things that we have seen the last couple of years. Teams that have great offensive lines and can protect their quarterback are teams that are always going to be successful in this league. Because if you can keep your quarterback from getting hit, good quarterbacks in the NFL can pick apart a defense as the game goes on. So Derek Carr, is he, he had a very good year last year, a career year for him last year. But is Derek Carr going to be pretty upset as they just continually get rid of his help on the offensive side of the football? I don't know. We will have to see how this plays out. Another team that I think that did pretty decently so far, and for a lot of reasons that I've talked about already, which is they kept the band together. They signed some of the key players back that they really needed to in free agency, got rid of a player that basically can swap with who they just signed for a cheaper deal. And that's the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to go Buffalo Bills at a B+ here. They re-signed Darrell Williams, which is a big signing. John Feliciano is another re-signing on the offensive line. Linebacker Matt Milano, who probably was their better defender, I would say, throughout most of the year, did a great job on the tight ends, especially in cover 2. So they re-signed Micah Hyde, another big pickup. They released John Brown, but they also added Emmanuel Sanders, who I think is a little bit more dynamic than John Brown and will play off of Stephon Diggs a lot better than John Brown did. And then, of course, the greatest signing of all besides Ryan Fitzmagic, Mitchell Trubisky. I think Mitchell Trubisky is going to fit in nicely here with Allen, even though Allen's job is not by any means in trouble, or should he have to worry about Mitchell Trubisky even pushing for that starting job. But they did a good job of re-signing what they needed to re-sign, the pieces that worked, and keeping that offensive line together to help protect Allen, which is the most important part. Another team that I think actually did pretty good too was the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers did the probably the most important thing for their young quarterback, and that is give him offensive linemen, Corey Lindsey and Matt Feeler, I cannot talk today, guys. I'm sorry. I couldn't even say the word today when I said I'm sorry I couldn't talk today. All right. It's been a long day. I'm still upset over my bracket, I think. I'm a little bit tired, but hey, I'm pushing through, and I apologize for stumbling over my words. I promise I'm not drunk. That will be another episode down the road. But yeah, they did what they needed to do for their young quarterback. They have a quarterback, Go Ducks, that hails from the greatest university of all time in Oregon, and he won Rookie of the Year. Absolute stud. He is their guy for the future, and he needed more protection than he had last year, so they went out, they got Matt Fielder, they got Corey Lindsey, and they gave him Jared Cook. Now, Hunter Henry was a massive loss for this team. If I was grading on overall, how teams have done so far, that the loss of Hunter Henry, I think, hurts this team more than anything. But can they find an avenue in the draft, or can they mess around with Tampa? Tampa looks like they've been very interested in trading Howard down there at the tight end position. They've got Rob Gronkowski back. So are they interested in maybe a trade? If that's the case, I think the Chargers could bump up here. But Hunter Henry is going to be a massive loss for them. Justin Herbert's #1 target last year, especially in third down situations. So it's going to be interesting to see how they build on from here, especially in the draft. But I like what I've seen from them so far, getting protection for their young quarterback. And speaking of young quarterback, let's go over to the Baltimore Ravens, where they have done jack all for Lamar Jackson. Now, in the media, a lot of people are saying that the Baltimore Ravens made a very good move in signing Kevin Zeitler, which is great. He is a very good signing, but the problem in Baltimore, and I talked about this all last year, the problem in Baltimore is not the fact that they need more offensive linemen, not that they need better blocking. It's that they need wide receivers to throw the damn ball to. And the problem is you have Hollywood Brown, and that is about it. He uses Hollywood Brown and his tight ends, and that's about all they have. They needed another wide receiver to add a dynamic side to this offense. The Baltimore Ravens will never be successful, and I will continually say this till the day I die, when you are a one-dimensional team. When all you can do is run the football at an elite level, but you can barely pass the football at an okay level, you're never going to be successful in this league. What happened in the Super Bowl this year? What happened in the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 75 freaking times. Patrick Mahomes was knocked down 15 of those times, and his wide receivers couldn't catch a football. They had no balance to their offense, therefore, all the Bucs did was sit back in cover 2 and completely pick him apart. How do you beat a cover 2? By running the football. And this isn't about the Super Bowl. I've already made that rant. But the Baltimore Ravens are doing the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again, which is we're going to beef up the running game. We're going to be great runners of the football. And it's like, awesome. You still have to pass the football at a very high level as well if you're wanting to push for a Super Bowl. So if Baltimore was serious, they should have gone out there and signed a massive check to Kenny Golladay. They've got Sammy Watkins coming in, which would help, I think, for the Baltimore Ravens. That would help, but Sammy Watkins is a much better off-the-ball 2 or a 3 guy than he is a lead guy. So they're going to struggle mightily if they don't figure something out in the very near future. I'm not high on the Baltimore Ravens right now. I'm going to go D-. A team that I probably never thought in my lifetime that I would ever be talking about as making good offseason moves, the New York Giants. The New York Giants did a great job at getting help for Daniel Jones. Now, they still have a hell of a lot that they need to fill and a lot that they need to work on, and there's a lot of defensive pieces that have to be taken care of. But they signed Kenny Golladay to a 3-year? Yeah, I think a 3-year, $50+ million deal. They signed Kyle Rudolph, who is still a very good dynamic tight end. They signed John Ross, who is a burner, who did not work out well for the Bengals, was injured a whole lot, but I think John Ross in the right situation could be a good target for Daniel Jones and could help a lot. They signed Leonard Williams, which I think is one of their better signings, to a 2 or 3 year deal, like $45 million, and then they signed Adoree Jackson. While I am not high on Adoree Jackson down in Tennessee for all just the amount of games he missed, Adoree Jackson is a good cornerback in this league, and I think it's a decent signing for the New York Giants. Now, the New York Football Giants, the main question over that offense is Daniel Jones your guy? If Daniel Jones is your guy, and if everybody thinks that he can continually take these steps to be a better quarterback every year, Daniel Jones is finally going to have weapons to play with, especially when Saquon Barkley comes back healthy. So, you get a healthy Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones now has weapons across the board on the wide receiver side of the football and on the tight end side of the football. Like, basically, the offense is heading in the right direction, but their defense has a lot that they have to catch up on. Especially, they tried to help with the cornerback position with Adoree Jackson, but especially the linebackers, the safeties, and the defensive, like, basically everything on the Giants' defense really needs just layers added to it. So I think draft-wise, we're going to see the New York Giants go heavy on the defensive side of the football if they believe that Daniel Jones is their guy. Now, there is rumors that Daniel Jones might be on the move, that the Giants aren't sold on him, but let's just stay for what it is right now. The New York Football Giants, I'm going to give you a solid B-. A little bit more moves on the defensive side of the football might help, but I'm interested to see what they do come draft night. The last 4 teams are the only teams that got these grades. So there's one team that got an A++, and then there's 3 teams that got my F++, and here they go. The Chicago Bears, F++. What the hell are you doing? So you ship out Kyle Fuller. Bye. Release him. Don't even try and trade him. Like, goodbye. We don't need you, right? So you release Kyle Fuller. You get rid of Mitchell Trubisky. Great. Everybody's wanted him out of Chicago. And you pick up Andy Dalton. I was going to say the F word there, but this is a family show. F is for family, not for fudge. You pick up Andy, like, okay, I would have rather have kept, this is a sad day when I would have rather have kept Mitchell Trubisky over Andy Dalton. Like, Andy Dalton, everybody's like, oh, he played kind of decent down in Dallas. If he played so decently, he would have re-signed. They offered to have him come back for a year. Like, we go out and we go get Andy Dalton, and then we assure him that he is going to be the starter. You're going to be the starter. If Deshaun Watson, which, depending on his sexual accusations, is even able to play football, if Deshaun Watson's able to play football, the Chicago Bears, the only way they save their entire team in their year is to go out and get Deshaun Watson. Otherwise, you didn't get Kenny Golladay. You release Kyle Fuller. Like, at this point, you have Andy Dalton as your number one target right now. You franchise tag Allen Robinson. At this point, if it continues to go even more downhill, release Hicks, release Khalil Mack, get everybody out of there, and let's just rebuild this son bitch from the beginning, right? Like, let's just bulldoze it. Soldier Field can stay, but other than that, let's just bulldoze it. New management, new ownership. Everybody get the hell out of there, and let's rebuild from the beginning. And then maybe by the time I hit 80, we'll win a championship like the Chicago Cubs did in 2016. I'll bawl my eyes out because it's the last time that will ever happen for another freaking decade, and we'll move on in life, right? F++. Move on to another team of mine that I support. And for those of you who don't know or are new listeners, I am born and raised in Chicago, but I've also lived in Nashville for the last 15 years. So I've grown very fondly of the Nashville Titans, and I always support the Titans. What the hell are you doing, Titans? Like, everybody's like, oh, well, they signed Reynolds. That's a good pickup. It's like, great. Our defense, we basically just released everybody. We re-signed Jayon Brown. And we got Bud Dupree. So I like the Bud Dupree signing. I'm not going to lie. I like the Jayon Brown re-sign because he's one of our best linebackers, if not the best linebacker we have. But we still don't have Jadeveon Clowney. We got rid of Jonnu Smith. We got rid of Corey Davis. So all of the offensive help that we had last year, we're just shipping that the hell out the door. We re-signed Reynolds from the Rams. Which, okay, Reynolds was a great fourth option for the Rams with Cooper Kupp and all the other weapons that they had over there. But Reynolds wasn't the guy. You know, they went through Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and, you know, Reynolds was either the third or the fourth option depending who was out on the field. So I just don't understand what the Titans are doing. At this point, the Titans have cap space. They have money. Go out there and make a ballsy move. Make a move that makes teams go, oh, wow, the Titans could be interesting. But you don't. Instead, the Titans sit back, they ship away half their team, and they just save all that cap space so they can what? Re-sign Ryan Tannehill to a massive 5-year deal? Like, the Titans are in a win-now mode. The way the Titans are built, when you have one of the best running backs in all of football, when you have Ryan Tannehill playing at this elite level, which nobody ever thought he was going to play like this again, when you have a guy like A.J. Brown, one of the better wide receivers in the entire NFL, you need to pair him with somebody. The reason Corey Davis had such a breakout year is you had A.J. Brown on the other side of the football. And now you have Reynolds, which a lot of people, including myself, do not think is a separation, good possession wide receiver. He's a good third or fourth option when you have two guys that command a lot of attention, like a Robert Woods or a Cooper Kupp. So, what are the Titans going to do in the draft? What are the Titans going to do with all this time we have left in free agency and trade? I don't think a whole lot, right? We got Janoris Jenkins. Like, we're getting these guys that have 1 or 2 decent years left of their career or have shown not really shown a lot of promise on other teams, and we're giving them an opportunity here. Let's see what happens with the Titans, the way the Titans defense plays out, because that is probably the most important thing, is that the Titans get a great defensive core. Now, I will say the Titans get Jadeveon Clowney back. You add Bud Dupree. You get Janoris Jenkins if he can play at a better level. The Titans could make this thing very interesting, but as of right now, an F++, I am not happy with what they have done. Another team that deserves an F+++ is the Eagles. The Eagles get rid of Carson Wentz. They don't want Carson Wentz. They send him to the Indianapolis Colts just to piss the Titans fans off and watch the Colts start dominating for the next several years. They say that they needed a clean shop. Well, they clean shop. They give the reins over to Jalen Hurts, and he has no one to throw to. Alshon Jeffrey likely to maybe not return. There's a lot of rumors that Alshon Jeffrey is looking for a trade or could even request a trade himself. There's not a whole lot going on in the backfield with Miles Sanders. Doesn't have a whole lot of help. Their offensive line is absolute garbage. Their defense has played like crap the last couple of years. Ever since the Super Bowl, this Eagles team has continually gone down the drain. And at this point, they're not only going down the drain, they're going down the drain over to the dumpster that's on fire and hopping in it. Like, the Eagles have done jack all, and they're giving Jalen Hurts a chance. And I literally put up air quotes around that, a chance, because he doesn't really have much of a chance, does he? I don't know that Jalen Hurts is the answer, but if he's not even going to get a fair shot because you're doing jack all around him, I don't think that's a lot, really fair to put on Jalen Hurts. But F+++ for the Eagles. They are absolute hot garbage with what they've done, and they're doing absolutely nothing to help. Now, the team that got the best grade of them all, the A++++, they got the one guy that I've already talked about. They got arguably the second greatest player of all time, on one of the greatest beards I've ever seen. This guy is about to go to the WTFers, a team that I rag on here at the locker room, and he's going to make them winners. It's not Alex Smith returning. No. He's released. He's a free agent. They got Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic has made his way to the WTFers. He will make them winners once again. They will win the NFC East. Mark my words. If Fitzmagic is the starting quarterback, W's, and I'm talking W's, are going to follow the WTFers. Wherever they go, those effers are going to start winning some football games. Fitzmagic is the biggest signing in the offseason. He's played for damn near half the league, and he's about to throw raining touchdowns and bombs all over the WTFers football field. So congratulations to the winners of free agency and trades, the W football team. The W football team. I'm calling you the W football team. You should be proud, because usually I call you the WTFers. But the W football team is gaining a little bit more respect from me after that signing. So earlier this week, the infamous Khabib Nurmagomedov, if I could say this properly, good grief, this is just not my day, and Dana White officially had their meeting. This was supposed to be the Dana White coming out and telling everybody that Khabib was going to return to the octagon and go for his 30th win and have the perfect 30. But sadly, we found out that Khabib is officially stepping away. For those of you who don't know, Khabib's father passed away, and he was very much a part of what Khabib did in the octagon and how he trained. His dad was basically the heart to Khabib's soul in the octagon. So after his dad passed away, Khabib had one last fight with Justin Gaethje, and of course he won that fight, broke down absolutely sobbing in tears and said, I'm done. I don't want to be in this octagon if my father's not here. I told my mom I didn't want to do it if dad wasn't here. So he walked away. So for the last few months, we have been speculating that he was going to return for the Perfect 30, as a lot of people speculated. Dana's been pushing, hey, go for that 30. Don't be 29-0, be 30-0, 30-0, 30-0. Well, they officially had their big, giant sit-down meeting where Dana White was going to convince Khabib to stay. Well, Khabib decides, I need to step away from the sport. I'm done. If my father's not here, my heart's not in it. And for those of you who are fighting fans and fighter fans, you know that if a fighter's heart is not in the fighter will get demolished. And if Khabib, if his heart's not in it, the best thing Khabib could do is walk away, because he will lose his perfect 29-0 and be 29-1 if he is to fight another fighter and his heart is not in it. That is how the fight game works. We have seen it over and over and over again. So the perfect time to walk away at 29-0 with a clear conscience, knowing that if he ever came back, he most likely would not be undefeated. But while Khabib was here, while we got to witness the greatness of Khabib, here's just some of his accomplishments that he did, and I'm just strictly talking the UFC. Of course, he's the UFC lightweight champion. He's the longest reigning lightweight champion in UFC history. He has the most takedowns in a single fight, tied for the most title wins in the UFC division history, most consecutive wins in UFC history. Then, of course, he's the Sports Athlete of the Year, Performance of the Year, Beatdown of the Year, Comeback Fighter of the Year, International Fighter of the Year, Fighter of the Year, Fighter of the Year, 2012 Fighter of the Year. This guy's rap sheet is insane. He is an all-time great, and I'll get to where he lands on my list in just a second. But I mean, this guy was fighting bears at 8 and 9 years old. I'm not making this up. Real life bears. Google Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting a bear, and you'll hear stories of Khabib practicing his wrestling on a bear. Not the paint, not the football team, a real life 4 fudging paws bear. This guy was fighting bears at 8 and 9 years old. He is the greatest wrestler to ever exist, and I don't know that there will ever be a greater one. Khabib was just phenomenal. Top-notch in every aspect of his game. Even though he wasn't a great striker, Khabib was still an elite striker. That's how scary he was. So all that being said, take the nostalgia out of it, take my heart out of it. This isn't about what I, think and how I love Khabib's game and how great of a fighter. This was about, what does it say on paper? Where does Khabib stand when it comes to the greatest of all times? Where does Khabib stand in the top 5 category for the UFC fighters of all time? Now, it's hard for me to judge where he stands in the top 5, and I think anybody's top 10 list or top 5 list, whatever, is always going to be subjective of what you think, and, a lot of it is who you liked and or what you thought of that athlete at the time. And I think there are several athletes, and several more so, we're talking about the UFC here, there are several UFC fighters that deserve to be in the top 5, and for different reasons. What Ronda Rousey has done for the women's division of the UFC, it deserves to have her land in the top 5. What Amanda Nunes has done in terms of holding 2 belts at the same time, she deserves to be in the top 5. Then, of course, you have your John Jones. My number 1 all time. Skill-wise, I don't think we'll ever see anybody like him. The last style bender, a lot of people said he was going to rival John Jones, but John Jones is just his own animal. Then you have George St. Pierre, GSP. Then you have Conor McGregor. Then you have Khabib. There are fighters that deserve to be in the top 5 for what they did for the sport of the UFC. If we are talking pure fighters, though, I'm breaking down my list. When it comes to my list, I try and take my heart out of it. What did these athletes do when they fought in the octagon? What did these fighters do? Jon Jones is my number one of all time. Now, my list does vary. I think GSP is definitely in my top 5. Amanda Nunes, if she continues to hold these 2 belts and defend them, will be in my top 5 at the end of the day. But Khabib's skill set, what Khabib did while in the fighting game, what he did in the UFC, I think Khabib's somewhere in my probably 3 to 4 range of all time. Now, it can move. He retired very early, and that I'm not knocking him for doing that. He felt it was the time to step away, and I am an advocate for fighters stepping away at the right time. So there might be another young fighter that comes along, and there's a lot of very good fighters going on right now. You know, we'll never know how Khabib would have stood up to a Dustin Poirier, especially the Dustin Poirier we see now. We'll never know how Khabib stands up to a Conor McGregor too. We never know. But to take it for what it is right now, Khabib Nurmagomedov deserves to be in the top 5, probably for the 3, 4 to 5 range in that back half. I think my 1 and 2 are pretty much set. I don't think that's really going anywhere. Jon Jones, and then I'm going to go GSP. So all that being said, it is an incredible time to be alive that we got to witness Khabib's reign while it lasted. He is one of the greatest of all time. He's in my top 5. Khabib, we thank you for everything you did for the sport of the UFC, and we will miss you greatly. There's a lot of great matchups that we wanted to see, but, you know, I completely understand, and we wish you the best of luck in retirement. So like I talked about last week, March Madness brings craziness. It brings unpredicted teams that come out of the woodworks and just absolutely have the tournament of their lives. And we have seen several players talk about this already, how the amount of fans in the building, there's like 2,500, I think, like 25% capacity, something like that, allowed in the building. It really does affect these college kids. We've seen a lot of these younger college kids say, you know, we really miss the fans, we really miss the energy and the atmosphere. And I think that play has shown in a lot of these better teams. We just saw Kansas get their ass whooped by Oklahoma. I mean, teams like Duke, Kentucky, none of these teams are even in the tournament this year. So I think COVID does have a lot to do with why some of these better teams have struggled thus far. Illinois, out. Iowa, knocked out by the Oregon Ducks. Don't get me wrong, I did not have that, but go Ducks. You know, we're seeing a lot of these 1s and 2s and high-up teams not only struggle but lose. Texas out of the building. Like, and it's shocking. This is the tied for the most, I think it is 10th seeds and back to ever win in the tournament. So we're tied. We're already historically in a different atmosphere with the amount of upsets that have happened thus far in the tournament. So I'm not going to talk about, of course, every game that's happening. That's already happened because we all know what's happened. Our brackets are completely busted and burnt. And don't lie and say that your bracket's great and that you're doing just fine, because I know that you're lying through your teeth. Absolutely not. Everybody's brackets are absolutely screwed. But let's talk about some of these upcoming games. Oregon State versus Loyola of Chicago. Now, here's the deal. Sister Jean has God on her side. And these lonely Loyola Chicagoans are going to make some massive noise against Oregon State. Here's the deal. Loyola has a ton of experience. And what did I tell you guys? Experience and a guy who can get you a bucket. They have a big man with a horrible mustache that can get them a bucket, and they have experience across the board, right? So I'm going to give you some predictions here. I'm going Loyola of Chicago over Oregon State in a very fun matchup. I think the magic is real this time. It's not just a Cinderella story runaway. I do believe that Loyola of Chicago is the real deal and does have a very fair shot. Now, I'm not saying they're going to, but does have a very fair shot come Saturday. Then, of course, Villanova, Baylor. Baylor looks better than everybody that they've played so far. Baylor's probably the best team in the tournament so far. They've got the length, they've got the strength, they've got the shooting, they've got the defense. I've not been a fan of what I've seen from Villanova. I like Baylor here. Oral Roberts or Arkansas. This is another fun game here. Oral Roberts is that Cinderella team. While Loyola of Chicago has respectively put their feet down and they're no longer that Cinderella team, I think Oral Roberts is still looking for their glass slipper. Like, Oral Roberts is one of those teams that's been holding on by a thread. But here's the deal. Arkansas has not played very well in the tournament. They didn't play very well to close out the SEC tournament. I don't know that Arkansas has much more left in the tank, and Oral Roberts is hungry, and there's nothing more dangerous than a team with a lot of experience, good shooters. They've got that forward guy / center guy who has been phenomenal for the first 3 rounds. And this is not just because I want this to happen. I truly believe Oral Roberts can get the job done and will get the job done in a very close game against Arkansas. I straight up want to see Oral Roberts versus Loyola of Chicago in the championship. It's never going to happen, but that would be incredible. Then, of course, Syracuse-Houston. Syracuse was one of my sleeper teams. We got another Buddy Buckets on our hands. Syracuse is a very, very good team. They can get, like I just said, buckets. They've got 2 white boys that both look the exact same. They're both skinny as hell, but can put the ball in the hoop. So Buddy Buckets, the Buddy Bucket twins, I'm going to pick Syracuse here. Houston's another one of those teams that has not looked up to par as they usually have. Creighton or Gonzaga. Now, there's a lot of you who are going to say Gonzaga's going to run away with this. There's a lot of you who have picked Gonzaga to win it all. Listen, Gonzaga is phenomenal. But do not count Creighton out for a very good, tough matchup. Creighton is the number 2 or 3 scoring offense in the country. They can put up points, average over 75 plus a game. I think Gonzaga wins it, but I think this is going to be a very fun game. I don't think that Gonzaga is going to win it all. I just don't see them. They have not played enough hard competition thus far, and I think Creighton's going to be their first big test. Michigan or Florida State, I like Michigan here. Michigan's got a ton of experience. I like what I've seen from Michigan so far in the tournament. They had a rough one last night, and that was the push that I think they needed. You saw them really step up in key moments. UCLA or Alabama, listen, the way UCLA is playing right now, I can't bet against UCLA. Alabama's another one of those teams, won the SEC tournament, a very, very, very good squad. I'm going to go UCLA here, though. I like UCLA. They are playing at an elite level right now, and when you're playing at that high of a level, it's very hard to lose. And then finally, Oregon or USC, the Pac-12 championship matchup. USC already talking smack. Go Ducks. I mean, at this point, my bracket is so busted that I've just got to go for the teams that I want to see win. I'm going Oregon here in a massive blowout. USC sucks. They're going to end up having to change the name of their school by the end of the game after what we have done to them. But like I said, I'm going to release brackets in the next few days. You'll see your bracket results for those of you who have participated. But this has been a great March Madness thus far. I was completely not expecting it to be this big of upsets all the way through, especially some of these bigger name schools like Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, schools that a lot of people had going pretty far to already be exiting out of the tournament. So this is pretty crazy. But it's a lot of fun. So Saturday and Sunday are the games. Those are my predictions. I would love to know who you have going in those games. And if it's not Oregon, don't send it to me because I don't care. Well, there you have it. I mean, that's just another episode of The Locker Room in the books. Episode 47 is in the books. Make sure you're following us on our social media if you want to stay up to date with everything that we do, because there's so much information that gets put out onto the social media. And then if you have a TikTok, it's super simple. The Locker Room 22. Just go follow us on TikTok. We're posting weekly, daily. There's a lot of just fun sports videos, so if you want a good laugh, head over to our TikTok. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram. Listen, that whole bullshit of I need to have more followers than I follow, get that out of your mind, right? Go follow us on Instagram. Who cares if it puts you over the following limit? It'll be okay. We want the we want the friends on our Instagram. We want to make sure that we're building it up. Thank you to FNX Fitness for all you do for us. We do have another sponsor that I'm going to announce very shortly. Probably in the next few weeks, just working out some final details with them. So stay up to date with us on our social media. Guys, once again, and gals, I apologize, guys and gals, or whoever you identify as, I'm Jacob Courtwright, and this is The Locker Room.